I'm going to welcome you all to the Legacy of Excellence Award celebration, really. And I'll ask you first to make sure that your cell phones are off or silenced. So take a second to do that. Can everybody hear me on Zoom? Anybody can wave their hand if you hear me on Zoom? Oh, I got one hand waver. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we got the Zoom in touch. We're really pretty well organized here today. And I want to thank you all for coming. The slogan for the Emeritus Society is retired faculty serving the future. So that should give you a notion that faculty of merit who are retired are still going to become active or stay active and serve the university and the committee and the community. And I think today's recipient exemplifies that in spades. And the Emeritus Society awards every year a faculty who's done extraordinary work over their career, as well as serving the community and the university after retirement. And I am really at this point going to introduce the introducer. Dr. Jessup, please come forward.
Thank you for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to introduce our 2025 Legacy of Excellence honoree, Dr. Ken Casavant. Most of us here in the audience and those on Zoom have known Ken for a long time. That's not entirely because he's old, but it certainly helps. We've known Ken for many years because of who he is as an individual. Whether that be as a colleague, a professor, a mentor, an advisor, a friend, a father, a grandfather, and a husband. He's an individual who has always believed the best of others and works hard to be his best. And because of that, he fully personifies the Coug spirit and the WSU legacy of excellence. Ken first arrived at WSU in 1967 as a graduate student from North Dakota, completing his PhD in 1972 and joining the faculty in agricultural economics, which is now the School of Economic Sciences. Over the next 50 years at WSU, his efforts at being his best led to tremendous impact in research, teaching, and service. His research in transportation economics has shaped and influenced policy and infrastructure nationally, regionally, and locally. He established the Freight Policy Transportation Institute, which continues today. Ken's impact in the classroom has been equally impressive. For most of those 50 years at WSU, Ken taught the introductory Ag Econ class, typically between 200 and 300 students each fall. Economics rarely comes naturally or easily to most students, but Ken made it relatable to the students, and in so doing, changed their lives. His textbook remains the standard for the introduction to Ag Econ at land-grant colleges across the country today. Ken went on to receive practically every teaching award offered here at WSU. Ken's commitment to service, and particularly community service, has always been exemplary. He ran for the Washington State Senate, served on the Pullman City Council, and has remained deeply engaged in retirement, serving on the board of the Pullman Good Food Co-op, the WSU Retirement Association, the Pullman Hospital Foundation, the Regional Airport, and many others. Whenever there's an opportunity, Ken shows up and gives his best. Please join me in recognizing Dr. Ken Casavant for his remarkable legacy of excellence.
Where the hell did you guys come from? Are you hearing me good? Do you want to? Okay, thank you. Look, friends and colleagues, it's a pleasure to be with you for hopefully a short talk. Dorothy, don't tear up. It's not that damn long. It's impossible for me to say how honored I feel to give these remarks today. especially since was totally a surprise when I received it and loved receiving it. For this honor, I thank the Emeriti faculty and the university, and especially thank you who turned out today. Appreciate it. Like any good researcher, upon hearing of the selection, I did a bit of background work, talking both to past presenters and to members of the committee that chose me for the presentation. The past presenters were unanimous in stating they felt no bounds in what they talked about and how long they talked. I modified both of those in my remarks. Given that freedom, we'll move forward. You'll see I've taken their comments to heart. If I overdo something, it's because they're them folks. So my goal today is show selfishly that economics can be useful in research, teaching, and service activities. Research, teaching, and service activities. The land grant mission. I offer a quote from John Maynard Keynes for your consideration. The ideas of economists and political philosophers, both when they are right and when they are wrong, are more powerful than is commonly understood. Indeed, the work is ruled by little else. I'm sure that the power of vested interest is vastly exaggerated compared to the gradual encroachment of ideas, end quote. I will see how we do today as I go through these remarks. Further and more importantly, I'll attempt to show that teaching and research are mutually interdependent. They're joined at the head and heart, not just at the hip, and that Washington State University, as a land-grant university, offers the opportunity to participate fully in all three. If there's a model that my career tried to achieve, it was of the land-grant philosophy. In developing these themes and having a little bit of fun, I'll give some personal background, review the land-grant mission, and then spend time on each of the areas as developed in my career here at WSU. It's my 50-year career at WSU that leads me to be active or continue to be active after my formal retirement. Personal background first. Let's see if this motor works. I mean, academically speaking. Here's where I'm headed today. I'm going to talk about the personal background. I'm going to talk about that land grant institution, talk about my research. It was specified or specifically specified as transportation. I taught and I loved teaching. Then service. As I've gotten further along in my career and the new part of my career, it's research and teaching, retirement, and into the future. I come to you from where else? You guys all know my love for this state in North Dakota. You ought to go to North Dakota. Oh, no singing. Dorothy doing that. As the picture shows, me on the left, my two brothers, my father, and of course, Shep, our cattle dog, were rather hardy folks. Like much of life in a different part of the country, Shep had no pedigree and always had a function working on the farm. I believe the flavor of the picture also indicates the need for a solid work ethic, something given to me by my father and mother in my life in North Dakota. You should also know that behind us is the reason that I learned to move very fast as a young man. The outhouse seemed in winter to be located in the next county, especially at 30 degrees below zero. Along the way, I learned the importance of teamwork, sometimes the hard way. This, as you read this, it'll indicate a problem we had in the Canadian baseball game that needed teamwork. All I needed was one of those two guys catch the damn ball, and we would have won. Kenny, and as yet, I was Kenny till what? I was 46, I suppose, something like that. But I think it indicates teamwork and how important it is. Then I'd like to offer you Notre Dame Academy, a French-speaking Roman Catholic boarding school, as depicted here, gave me academic and spiritual training. Our graduating class of 13 included one of the most important people in my life, Dorothy, my wife. We had met in the first grade. We often asked each other, gee, where did you guys meet? Well, I met her in the first grade, and I have to admit, she was a hottie. By the time of our senior year, she'd agreed to date me. And only 6 years later, she agreed to marry me. You think getting tenure is difficult. Try getting Dorothy to marry you. But she did, and 58 years we've been together. Good. Incidentally, Dorothy and I have been commissioned by the Sisters of Mary of the Presentation Order to write the history of Notre Dame Academy. Dorothy has done her work, spending months in the courthouse and House of the Sisters. Now it's just up to me to finish the writing and rewriting of the text. Sometime, somehow. Dorothy gets up in the morning and says, have you made any progress on that book? Dorothy and I came to WSU after me doing my bachelor's and master's degrees at North Dakota State University. My bachelor's was fun, including being kicked out of school as a sophomore for bad grades and distractions on campus, something I've used as examples to my students for years. In one semester, our house was on probation. I was on academic probation and institutional probation for partying too much. I got tired, but I got used to it. And I think the young people of sitting here with my grandson, the young people of the world shouldn't be afraid to participate in everything. And then later on, you can rally and get done. My major advisor, Dr. David Nelson, gave me love of both teaching and transportation, and then led me to WSU to study under James C. Nelson, the nationally known transportation economist. My performance as a graduate student here at WSU was good enough to bring on the best month in my life. In 1969, in 1 month, I passed our preliminary examinations for the PhD, was offered a job on the faculty, and found out Dorothy was pregnant with Michelle, our first child. I don't want to say it's been downhill since then, but for the slight bit of, the only difference, the slight bit of hair I've lost since then, right? The difference. She's good looking, yeah. Finishing my PhD, developing a transportation research program that was of relevance to the state of Washington, and performing in the classroom led me to receipt of tenure and promotion in 1976. Fitting in those times and not necessarily these times, we celebrated the event on the field next to the livestock pavilion, including some libations and relaxed apparel. I should note that the graduate student on the left, Dr. Charles Logston, was the energy economist for the state of Alaska for 20 or 30 years prior to retirement. And on the right, Dr. Michael Wise worked at Clemson University, has been director of the Peace Corps in 3 separate countries. Good output from the graduate program at WSU. As my last bit of personal background, let me offer my proudest of compliments while here at WSU, my family. The 3D ladies in my life have been my stability, conscience, source of growth, and a bit of how to dress. They surprised me. My daughter from Kansas surprised me a couple of days ago by coming in unexpected. I'd like to quickly introduce Michelle Casavant, Dorothy Casavant. You can wave. My son-in-law, my daughter, Colette, and looking over there, my grandson, Atticus. And thank you. Quite a group, actually, I think. Now let's talk about the land grant mission. My idea of the land grant mission may vary from yours or the literature, but bear with me. These universities were formed to bring applied education and opportunity to the common man and woman. Initially in agriculture and the mechanical arts, it's broadened, thankfully, in what its mission is going to be. The Morrill Act, yes, the Morrill Act of 1862 provided the initial land grants and public funding to establish and open these universities. I don't have that here, but I get extremely sad when I see what's happening to our university. I'll call it an industry, but university culture under the current political scheme. And scheme is the nice way for me to say it, by the guys. But the knowledge of, with the land grant universities, the knowledge of base available to producers and students at that time was found to be static. A commitment at the federal level led to the Hatch Act of 1887, providing a source of research funding and expanded student attendance available for the classroom and communities. Over time, it became evident, even with public education, many producers and citizens were not accessing the universities and probably never could or would. Consequently, one of the greatest programs ever established, in my estimation, arose as a result of the Smith-Lever Extent Act of 1914 and the establishment of the Cooperative Extension Service. Initially reaching out with the established body of knowledge to those out in the states, county agents and specialists became a formidable team of educators. As time went on, and we see in our own departments and schools, agents and specialists worked with researchers and now doing much of the research themselves to identify information needs, fill the voids, and bring these findings back to the non-university clientele. I will suggest that a university needs all three of the legs of this land grants stool. Missing the one calls imbalance of opportunity and loss of function. A dramatic number I like to use is that 40% of all PhDs in the United States come from land grant universities. We have a charge and we are responding. Let me talk about transportation as a applied research program. For 58 years, I was working on something that had no value. Was that a mistake? Let me explain. Transportation by itself has no value. It is only useful when it answers needs from the marketplace or public interest. Economists talk about it being a derived demand, meaning the value of the transportation only arises from the value of the product or people being moved. Transportation as applied research program. For the past 59 years, I've been working on something that I really enjoy. Dorothy and I did have dates in North Dakota. What? Go back. I want to go back to where, there it is. Dorothy and I went out for dates a lot. And Dorothy got to drive. I got to push. Okay. What does efficient and effective transportation do? It lowers the costs of production, just go down the chain, lowers the cost of production, increases the price to producers, increases marketing opportunities. Frankly, it changes cultures, ties nations together, and more. It's interesting, everything that you're wearing in this room, or is it even in the room, has been touched by a truck and other mode of transportation before you got to put it on. In the Inland Empire of Eastern Washington, transportation was a stimulus for the actual agricultural development of the region, allowing our wheat growers to annually sell 80 to 90% of their production overseas to international customers. In other commodities and products, the U.S. has been losing competitive advantage to some of those products overseas. In other commodities and products, the lower land and labor costs have helped others compete with us. It's our transportation system that's allowed us to maintain that competitive situation. Any economist has to use numbers to be credible, so let me just say a couple numbers. 1 in 4 jobs in Washington is trade related. Tonnage on our roads has increased 240% since 1980 and is growing. We move many tons by truck and many more tons by rail. Our Tidewater ports handle 108 108% increase almost annually. Grain is expected to increase further 50% that puts strain on our eastern highways and our port facilities. Do I see many careers in transportation logistics becoming available? I certainly do. Initially, coming from North Dakota, my early interest in transportation arose because of the $1.10 per bushel paid by shippers in North Dakota, compared to the 30 cents per bushel for Eastern Washington to get to the ports on the west side. We found Pacific Northwest is blessed by a transportation system that is complete. It has truck, it has rail, it has barge, all of which compete with each other and cause the rates to be as close to costs as possible. And every farmer here knows that it could or should be lower than it currently is. As a young faculty with Dr. Des O'Rourke, who's in the back here, my initial grant was to look at the transportation marketing problems of sweet cherries in the state of Washington. We received our first grant for this effort, a whopping $13,000. We should remember that, like 3 or 4 of my ag and resource, some of the findings, such as the impact on lower Snake River drawdowns, have always not met with favor from our traditional clientele, even to the point of irrigated farmers flying up to Pullman and requesting that President Smith and Provost Bataille give me my walking papers. Folks, isn't tenure a wonderful thing when you need it? I can also point out that later I'll talk about being on the Northwest Power Planning Council, where I received 2 death threats during my period on that council. Well-meaning in approach, they still came off and were death threats. Let's see, over time, I know Phil Wansnyder, a colleague of ours, said I was the money guy. Well, I was the money guy in that I was very fortunate. I received $101.2 million in slightly above the 13,000 that Des and I initially got. We undertook a major study, followed it by a new project that was a 2 million 6-year project that followed on. These projects have been fun and productive. Let's see. Whoa, I may be chirping on it. Okay, we didn't do it. Oh, there it was, and it went. They were a lot of fun. One of those was doing a transportation survey. Now, it's very analytical and powerfully statistically defensible technique called stop them and ask them. And it worked. 30,000 truckers were stopped by my team over a 2-year period, led usually by Eric Jessup here to make it work. Yeah, one time one of the surveyors called us from the field and said, don't worry, Joe will be okay. We are still taking our surveys even though he had a heart attack. I love the rapport we had developed with our people in the state. Let's talk about one of my favorite things, and that is transportation. Right here. Well, this is for fun again. I would be remiss if I didn't mention our transportation research training and maybe expertise has allowed me to serve a teaching and service role overseas as well. I've designed the physical distribution system in Alaska for grain movement. And I've analyzed the marketing and transportation systems in Bolivia, El Salvador, Mali, and Sierra Leone. It hurts me seriously as I read about the domestic turmoil and angst that occur in those countries now. I do have to admit, my thought as I was in the back of a Land Rover for 3 days, carrying our own water and gas for the automobile, bouncing over the Sahel Desert on my way to Timbuktu, was I hope they never notice that they're paying me to do this. And it worked. Yes, my position at Washington State University has got me from here to Timbuktu. Let's talk a bit about teaching. Oops. Yeah. My teaching was broad and applied. You know, it's really good to be in the classroom. I hope some of you learned something today. That's always the mission when you walk through that door. Will someone learn something or learn how to do something in this area? I look at the 3 components of the land grant mission. I see 3 components in teaching and learning: subject matter, student, and instructor. I have to admit that I'm somewhat a traditionalist in my approach to educating the students. You need to start with a firm command of the material and the delivery technique chosen to best transfer that material and its critical analysis to the student. The instructor, in my experience, is always on the stage performing. With that goal in mind, from then on, you don't do a song and dance show, but you're performing and presenting the material. And I changed my delivery sometimes. I taught at 8 o'clock. There were a lot of students there. There were a lot of students that weren't there either. But I tried to react to the students that were there, and it seemed to have gone along. Over the years, I won a bunch of teaching awards, and in reality, it's from the students, no matter who the presenter was. That approach worked very, very well for me, and this is Dr. Rod Bertramson, he was Director of Residence Instruction at the time, presenting me the award for teaching excellence. I'm sure he's saying more power and the best of luck to you, which is what he always said, his tagline, or possibly, damn, that beard and hair are too long, if you knew him. But early on, I wasn't content with just classroom teaching. I do people, good teachers, and I don't want to say and bad teachers, the instructors should have an interest in teaching scholarship outside the classroom. I kept getting good student evaluations. I've always had several students that the evaluations revealed that I had missed or the course had failed them. I developed a tool, colleague-aided evaluation, CAE, that somewhat similar to the current peer evaluation now as an attempt to reach earlier in the course those students who were not connected. I continued my combining of research and teaching over the years, resulting in 10 articles dealing with related subjects. Several were particularly fun. One of my colleagues had a bad first outing in a delivery by distance course. He came to me and we dissected his course evaluations and restructured the course in direct response to 4 consistent themes. He then retaught the course, collected evaluations, mostly positive. We published the findings that evaluation can be very active elements in course design and delivery, and an instructor response to the evaluations can generate statistically significant changes in student perceptions and performance. Yes, student evaluations are not just a popularity contest if used accurately. I'm going to skip that. Yeah. Service. Let's go from teaching to service, because as I look to the continuation of my career and to receiving this dearly loved award, it is service that I'm working on now. A good research and program and productive teaching can lead to a faculty member nicely into service work, whether in the formalized delivery of cooperative extension or in public activities. I know it did in my case. It was my background in transportation economics that led to the request that I do the first feasibility study for the on public transit and Pullman. No action occurred as a result of that study, so I became interested in the Pullman City Council and became a member after an appointment and subsequent election. In 1978, a refined study was produced, a referendum was held, and the current system was put in place. A current system that celebrated its 47th year this month. Watching the system grow in performance is a reward that a father often gets from his children, but seldom from your service work. I did receive that. I did run and I was elected. Later on, I ran for the House of Representatives. Not so much success that time. Transportation took me out of the university into the community, serving. God, what did you want? More hair there. Okay, oops. Serving on the Pullman Airport Board as a citizen representative for over 15 years. During that term, we were able to gleefully destroy our old embarrassing terminal, not the one that's left over now, the one that preceded that, and build a facility we use today, and now we've just replaced that facility with our new wonderful terminal. Yes, I served on the Citizen Advisory Committee on both those studies. In a way, transportation research led my appointment by Governor Lowry to the Northwest Power and Conservation Council, and later to service on the governor's Natural Resource Cabinet. I keep remembering the governor talking about his NARC council, telling him, you got to get a different name for that. In the 70s and 80s, that wasn't a good one. My service on the Northwest Power Planning Council, as then it was known, was in education and politics rather than just policy. Leaving the ivory tower for a while was one of the best things I've done and one of the most frustrating. Salmon versus power, and at what cost, is still with me. The cost was I was scared when I got when I got warned about what I was doing. I was asked to give many talks. I think you have as well, but my relationship to WSU, to the state of Washington, to agriculture meant a lot of folks, ex-students, which is delightful, would come to me and ask for, could I speak to their organization? In the process, one year I gave 8 talks out in the state. The sex life, read migration patterns of the anchovy changed in several years, and the catch went way down. Anchovies produce oil. And this is going to be good economics, so hang on to your hat. Anchovies produce oil. And as the production of this oil went down, the price of soybean oil, a substitute, went up in response to the increased demand. As a result, the amount of soybeans planted increased, and the amount of wheat planted in the Midwest decreased. Yes, this increased the price of wheat in the Pacific Northwest, proving once again that it's important to worry about the sex life of the anchovy. And if you've ever had a course in economics, you know about the demand shifters. And this is a great case of the demand shifters moving it around. About this time, my interest in my community led me to be elected president of the Pullman Chamber of Commerce. Town and gown issues were alive and not so well at the time. I hope our dialogues at that time helped. We also developed the Chamber's Public Service Award, and I had the pleasure of presenting it to then Speaker of the House, Tom Foley. As my dad might have said, what damn fool would vote against someone from your district when he is Speaker of the House? Well, it seems we had enough damn fools, didn't we? He was voted out, even as Speaker. Concern about higher education and transportation in the district led me to run for the Washington House of Representatives. 2 good things happened. First, running a political race provided experience that I've used in my career all the time. The second good one is I lost by 400 votes. Now I realize that with my 2 daughters being in grade school and high school, it would have been a tremendous burden on them. Dorothy and my career at WSU. Yes, good things do happen. The future is bright for faculty in this time of distressing issues, wanting service opportunities. Bright, but right now, difficult. One activity since was in Mali in South Africa, where, led by my old friend, Dr. Bill Gillis of the Center to Bridge the Digital Divide, we introduced a postgraduate diploma course in transportation operations management. This diploma course consisted of 15 courses taught electronically in transportation management areas. We have since found out that they increased the program to a graduate master's degree. So they found it useful, and somehow at that time, before AID went to hell, oh, I'm sorry. Not sorry, but okay. That we can be active and successful in extended education. But I want to move. This is us receiving a local award for the work that we did in developing the program. And now we're getting to the end. As I look at my career, I feel the same way, looking to the end. But here's what I've done and what I enjoyed doing since my formal resignation or retirement. Let's look at the continuance. Look at that. As you can read along with me, so I don't have to do this in detail, I retired formally in 2018, but in effect, I had changed my appointment. I considered it a retirement. I worked for became faculty athletic representative for 18 years, actually pre and post my formal retirement. In that time, I actively saw and used the Academic Council of Pac-10 to the Pac-12, and pretty soon to the Pac-2, and then to we'll see what the next situation or structure looks like. I was president of the Pac-10 and the Pac-12. I was given by the National Foundation Conference, Football Conference, an award for being the outstanding FAR. I don't think I deserved that. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I deserved it, but it certainly made me feel comfortable with what I was trying to do and what people were hearing me do. And in that process, I was in the NC2A Administrative Council. See that bottom line? You know what we did? We put in a big transfer window for student athletes. We made it possible to give money for what they produce. And many of you here in the room will think that went to hell, didn't it? But if you think about it, the changes we focused on were for the student and the student athlete. Many of where you're complaining about now, what are they going to do in NC2A and what is the Congress going to do? Folks always look to, is that change good for the student athlete or for the person who wants to go yaha at the game? That enthusiasm and concern about why do we lose our students? I say it's because they moved to a better opportunity. You say, well, they screwed up. What are we doing? We lost 6 or 8 in student women's basketball this year. It's awful, but they improved their position. I'll ask you always to think of the student as you go forward and complain about what it is. Now, we've got structures we've got to work on. We've got a court case that just got settled, and there's a lot of money to be distributed. And we've got to look at formation of new conferences, all good, useful things. But underlying it, I ask you to consider what happened to the students. I want to identify some of the activities, and I want to offer these to you because they're available. to you as active or retired faculty members at WSU. Here, obviously, I'm part of the Emeritus Society. Look forward to it. It's probably the funnest of the folks. They're both free in thought and intellectual while doing it. It's one of my most enjoyable society activities is our society. Second that I worked through, spent a year on the board of directors, was the WSU Retirement Association. I was on this committee that worked on getting more membership. I don't know how successful what I was, but I do know there's a lot of focused people in that association that want to help WSU. Third one, and this is the most rewarding one, and I see the director of it here. We've got the Pullman Regional Hospital Foundation. We try to get monies for the hospital and its activities and its growth and its service. And it works well. Thank you. And it's a lot of fun too. Oh, everything I do, I had an old saying, don't do it if it isn't fun. And if you have to do it as an assignment, make it fun. If you can hook those two things together, I think you've gained significantly in your retirement. Pullman, TPO, and Heritage Center. Again, she won't admit it as to what her formal title is, but she drives us. Linda is a control freak, and we're one of those that get a lot done because she helps us do it and provides directors in doing it. Okay, thank you, Linda. Not done yet, guys. I applied, I didn't apply, they came and got me for this one. The Pullman Good Food Co-op. They're trying hard to develop that good food. This is the only institution or assignment, if you will, that I feel I failed. We developed the structure, we developed many membership, many members in our membership drive. But when we came to try to fund a $4 or $5 million effort, I tried to convince the board that sending a request out electronically, or like, could you give $100,000? And it's part of an email that has no heading, just a slap, I almost said shit, the slap art product. And I was after them to do what I had done before with the hospital, was to look people in the eye, buy them a drink, have dinner. Don't make the request right at that time, but build relationships as compared to, here comes another email. This one's asking for what? And that, yeah, boom, it's gone. And I never got that changed. A couple of us ex-board members may try and help by developing the committee. How are we doing on time? Oh, goody. Okay, let's have a little more fun then. Let's see. After that, and I encourage you also to continue to support the food co-op. We are going to find a building that we can afford. There's several out there right now that they're working on, but I rotated off of that. That's annoying, probably for you guys too. And then the number 6 there, had a lot of fun with this. The Pullman Moscow Airport Community Advisory Council did it on this. I'm one of the few that remember all 3. Anybody else here? Oh, there we go. You walk into the single, I felt like the guy behind the counter. If we filled up one boat, one airplane we'll just put on a different hat, go out and start up another plane. It was that intimate and dangerous probably at the same time. But in any case, we built that 52 years ago. We now rebuilt a brand new one, and please go out, enjoy, use the airplanes, because the airplanes are the cause for the airport lovely facility we have now. And then number 7. This is, what did I say here? Yeah, 23 damn years. So it wasn't a new one. It's the one that sets parking and fine rates. So if you get a parking rate, a parking ticket, hey, at WSU, the parking facilities is totally self-funded. It has nothing to do with the expenses of the university. So before we have the task force is 18 people running back and forth, reflecting students, reflecting time card folks, reflecting faculty, reflecting every component within the university culture. We have representatives on that council. And we argue a bit, and it's a good argument. Then we raise the rates. So it works out well. Let me then finish, and I see Ron here and Jill. I recently received the School of Economic Sciences, the Honored Alum Award. That award brought it full cycle of the land grant model. I started as a teacher, developed that research program, extended that research program and what I had learned. And I think that said and told me that people appreciated and I appreciated. Okay, now, how about we'll finish with this? Okay, we're going to ask for any questions and any smart. Okay. Do you have any? I'll give you an answer. I don't know. Any thoughts about land grant institutions? Do you realize how lucky we are? I mean, we've got an institutional source of funding. Let me rephrase that. We had an institutional source of funding for teaching and research and extension. Still one of the most powerful institutions we ever created. Now it's a little tough. We're going to have to work our way and support and defend ourselves. And I think it's just a small example. Jill just announced that there's going to be a meeting of the school next Friday or something like that. I don't remember the date. To look at where we are and what we're going to do in the future. WSU has to do that at every area, every component, every level. And then we can fight for what we really think is important. By the way, is Trump right when he says there's waste in everything? The answer is yes. I know my friends don't like me to say even that, but he is right that there was waste in many areas. Those of us, I mean, I hate what happened to AID. That was just ridiculous and hurtful to the people of the world. And what do we do? I have to agree that having been there, I did 5 different projects and consulting jobs. There was waste. But his approach, just the baby goes out with the water, right? Inappropriate. Anyway, anybody have a question? If not, yeah, right.
We're now in the current war on universities. And do you see any advantage or disadvantage? I would think advantage of, and I don't want to pit universities against universities, but land grant universities, land grant mission. Do we have an advantage there in making the case we should still be around and we should be supported? What do you think?
I think we have an advantage in, we have a direction ourselves within the land grant institution. Our researchers who have never seen a teacher teaching or a student, they do excellent work that is useful and helps provide information for the teacher to provide to the future student. It's a lockstep thing that's beautiful to watch. I think we're stronger. Now, are we stronger than Yale? Yeah, I'd have to have a beer and talk about that one for a while. They're doing what they do best, and that is bring their own people together and go out. I mean, all of the Harvards and so on are going to be in the same position. I get up in the morning and I shake my head and I try and read the paper, and I'm urinated off by the time I get done. It's a tough time. Those of you that are current faculty members, I worry for you. I'm proud of you for what you're doing, and we got to keep that going. So I don't know if that's an answer, Rob, but that's where we are. Anywhere else? Sure.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored to be here and to hear your story. And just thank you for everything you've done for the College of Agricultural, Human, and Natural Resource Sciences.
Oh, thanks, kid.
Yes, you're welcome. My question is, I just read a report from the Office of Strategy and Planning and Analysis from WSU, and it talked about recruiting undergraduate students, especially the males. And in the state of Washington, we have something to worry about, I think. So how do we attract the students of today? What are some of your ideas?
Oh, boy. Well, one thing, a similar question to that is the group of folks that realized we weren't doing well under this president and saw the president should be doing things. One of them is getting individual access to some of the students that are our traditional ones, but then some of our others that aren't normally coming into WSU. We have to focus, and I want our new president, and it seems like that we have one right now, our new president, to be intimate with a student that's 13 years old. We used to be that way. WSU was the focal point of many areas. And I think we have to do that on a personal level. I see our mayor of Pullman here. Hey, thanks for coming. He's ducking. No, I don't think. He has proven that he's going to be intimate with our citizens, our institutions that the citizens form, so that he can be with them rather than always trying to catch up. Now, if you just fix that damn main street sooner. Any questions? Okay. You're welcome.
It's now the formal time for me to present the Legacy of Excellence Award 2024-2025 plaque to the Dr. Kenneth Casavant.
There.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Very well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have some refreshments here. I'm sure Ken would appreciate you staying around and hobnobbing and talking to him and congratulating with him. And I want to thank the audience. We had a great turnout today, which is, it's good that half of these people are Ken's family, but that's okay. Good for you to invite the family.
Okay.
Any rate, it's obviously an extended family to all those people that Ken worked with, and we really appreciate you coming. So stay around, enjoy. We have this room for at least another hour, am I right? And so we're good with that, and thank you again, Ken.
Thanks, guy.